Can you pinpoint the difference in the regular season?
Well,
the regular season started very well for us. I thought there came a point where we hit the wall a little bit. Injuries came into play, and perhaps looking back on it as a coaching staff, maybe we burnt a few players out. But again, the intensity and the input into playoffs is unacceptable. We have to look at ourselves, first of all, as a coaching staff, and look at making some changes the way we approach the game and in the way we prepare the team. And then secondly, they have to look at themselves, and it starts with your core, as I mentioned, throughout the playoffs, and then it trickles on down through the rest of the team and the foot soldiers. And we had good nights from some of those areas, and some not so good nights from them as well, and you never win a championship like that.
How much of a double-edged sword is this whole thing? And this obviously predates you, that now here it's not good enough to just get into the playoffs. You have to have a long run, and the expectation is the Stanley Cup championship here now.
Well, that expectation is outside the locker room, but it's also inside. That's our expectation. We're not putting the San Jose Sharks Hockey Club together just to have a great regular season and then get a long summer. That's not what we're about. Obviously, it hasn't worked for us, and again, we take full responsibility for that. We're going to have to look at everything carefully. If there's a change or an approach that we have to make as a coaching staff with the players or the system, then we have to address that. Personnel-wise, everybody will be held accountable for their actions, and some decisions will have to be made.
Some of the guys have said that they have feelings on things that could have been done differently. I mean, they shared those with you, and do you have feelings on things that could have or should have been done differently?
No, we haven't had an opportunity to meet yet. Today is basically not even 48 hours since we played. We'll sit with each of the players individually and get their opinions, get their input, which we will value, and then we will sit down as a group, evaluate their comments, give them some feedback, and go from there.
Patty and Joe took most of the criticism, locally and nationally in the media. Was that fair?
Well, they're our superstar players. Do I think it's completely fair? No. I think that we have a core that's larger than number 19 and number 12, and the rest of the core probably didn't perform the way they would like as well. And the secondary people, the teams that have advanced got production from secondary scorers, secondary checkers, and we have a line of players that produce 70 goals throughout the year, and I think they had 2 in the playoffs, and you can't win like that.
Is this a team that should have won the Stanley Cup?
This is a team that had an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup, and should have is a real bold word, but we had the opportunity to be successful. Didn't take advantage of it.
At the end of every season, there's change. Do there need to be big changes now?
Well, there has to be a change in whether it's personnel, whether it's the approach we take, whether it's the presence we have around the locker room, whether it's something we're doing as coaches, the way we're playing the game. There has to be change. We can't continue on with the way we're doing things, and there will be.
Is it too early to assess? There's a sentiment that says blow it up, and there's a sentiment that says we have some real key pieces here, and we just have to add and subtract. Is it too early to assess which of those is accurate?
Well, I think right now we're in the emotion stage, and we feel it. I know the fans feel it. I've ran into a number of people that are very disappointed, and rightfully so. They're emotionally attached to the team, and they feel that emotion. We feel it in here right now, and that's it's a real tough time to make decisions when your emotions are too high to think clearly. And we'll take some time, but we'll evaluate and make the necessary changes.
How much of the emotion is disappointment? How much of it is downright being ticked off a little bit?
I think it's a combination of both. I think one leads to the other. We're obviously disappointed, but with that comes a real sense of frustration. I think everybody's frustrated either individually or collectively. You can feel it. You just walk around the locker room, you can really feel it. Maybe it's a good feeling for us to have.
What's that?
Thank you.
We owe an apology to our fans and to the ownership. There'll be some very difficult decisions to make ahead of us, and we'll deal with them head on. And we will build a team that will win. But right now, it's the autopsy, which is probably an appropriate word that we're dealing with. And believe me, the responsibility starts and lies right here.
Coach alluded to the fact that with Patty and Joe driving the bus, the last few years that the team hasn't been able to get it done? Does this mean that you can't get it done with them?
Everything will be evaluated. There's nothing that is off the table. And as I say, this is a very, very disappointing moment. And people use this comments, and we try to call them pacify. I mean, say that the journey is the reward. That's a crock. This is pro sports, and winning is the only thing that matters. And we will get there, and it may take some tough times, and this is going to be a really tough, painful summer, and it should be.
Were there factors that were hindering Patty's play? He mentioned his ACL or MCL rather. Did you notice that out there, or did he say he was playoff ready to go? We
don't make excuses. I mean, everybody's injured this time of year. If they're not, there's probably something wrong with them. We'll give you a medical release, and you guys can evaluate it for whatever it is. But there's realities and excuses. We're not going to enter into any excuse making or any avoidance.
What's the timeline in now going over this autopsy and what you do next?
We'll be very thorough, but we will be looking at, we'll get input from everybody, give everybody a chance to be heard, and then we go into action.
So meeting with the players the next couple of days too?
I don't think it's appropriate yet. I need a few more days. I'll meet with our coaching staff who's been through this type of situation before. I'll meet with some of our scouts, and then we'll move to the next phase, and there'll be decisions made, and some big ones.
If you could do kind of a pre-autopsy, what was it this year?
Not, as I say, my mind is it's probably unfair and inappropriate, because I'm sure I'd come up with anything rational or that you could probably use on the air.
Todd McLellan said that the character of the team is questioned in the playoffs. How do you think the players responded to that questioning?
There's nothing to be said about that. The only response is to go and get it done. So I think we're all done with this. This is what we're going to do or whatever. Just this is pro sports. Results is what speaks. Nothing else matters.
Thanks.